Someone is lying. Someone is hiding a dangerous secret. And one relationship in Weatherfield may be far more explosive than anyone ever imagined. For weeks, viewers have watched suspicion grow. Strange conversations, secret meetings, nervous glances. And now one woman is convinced she finally knows the truth. But what if she's completely wrong? Or even worse, what if the real secret is far more devastating than an affair? Because while Maria Connor believes Gary Windass is betraying her, another mystery is quietly growing in the shadows. And it all leads back to one terrifying night. The night Theo Silverton died. The murder investigation has already sent shockwaves through Weatherfield. Suspects are emerging. Allegiances are shifting. And fear is spreading through the street. But among all the chaos, one detail refuses to go away. Gary and Sarah. The former couple have suddenly become inseparable. Private conversations, secret meetings, and behavior that is becoming harder and harder to explain. For Maria, the warning signs are impossible to ignore. After all, Gary and Sarah share a complicated history. Their relationship didn't begin yesterday. These are two people with years of emotional baggage behind them. Old feelings, old memories, old connections that never completely disappeared. And now, just when tensions are at their highest, they're spending more time together than ever. Coincidence? Maria doesn't think so. In fact, she's becoming convinced that something is happening right under her nose. Something that could destroy everything. But that's only the beginning. Because while Maria is desperately searching for answers, another question is becoming impossible to ignore. Why are Gary and Sarah suddenly so desperate to keep secrets? What are they hiding? And why does every clue seem to lead back to Theo Silverton's murder? The timing is simply too suspicious. Before Theo's death, Gary made a move that has already attracted police attention. A threatening text message. One message that now hangs over him like a dark cloud. As investigators dig deeper into the case, Gary has found himself under increasing scrutiny. And leading that scrutiny is DC Kit Green, the man currently dating Sarah. The same Sarah who keeps finding herself involved in Gary's secret conversations. The same Sarah who appears increasingly nervous whenever questions are asked. The situation is becoming a tangled web of suspicion. And nobody seems willing to tell the whole truth. What exactly happened on the night Theo died? Why are Gary and Sarah suddenly working together? And what could possibly be important enough to risk everything? The answers remain hidden. For now. But then something happens that sends Maria's fears spiraling out of control. A seemingly innocent discovery. One explanation. And a growing feeling that she is being deceived. Maria catches Gary out. At first, the explanation sounds reasonable. Gary claims he has been organizing a holiday. Surprise getaway. Something for Maria and the children. A thoughtful gesture. The kind of thing that should reassure any worried partner. And on the surface, the evidence supports his story. The holiday is real. The booking exists. Everything appears legitimate. But Maria isn't convinced. Not even close. Because when trust begins to crack, every explanation starts to sound suspicious. Every smile feels forced. Every excuse feels rehearsed. And every act of kindness starts looking like a cover-up. Instead of calming her fears, Gary's explanation only raises new questions. Why no? Why all the secrecy? And why does it feel as though he's trying far too hard? Maria begins to suspect something even more alarming. What if the holiday isn't a romantic gesture at all? What if it's guilt? What if Gary is desperately trying to compensate for something he's done? Something he doesn't want her discovering. And suddenly, every strange moment starts fitting together. Every uncomfortable interaction. Every secretive conversation. Every unexplained meeting. The picture forming in Maria's mind becomes impossible to ignore. But one encounter changes everything. Because earlier that day she crossed paths with Sarah. And Sarah's behavior immediately stood out. It wasn't just unusual. It was unsettling. The kind of interaction that lingers in your thoughts long after it's over. According to Maria, Sarah was acting strangely. Almost too friendly. Almost as if she was trying too hard. As if she was hiding nervousness behind forced smiles. And when Gary entered the situation, things became even more awkward. The atmosphere shifted. The energy changed. The tension became impossible to miss. For Maria, this wasn't normal behavior. This wasn't casual conversation. This looked like two people trying very hard not to reveal something. And that realization sends her suspicions into overdrive. Because if Gary and Sarah are innocent, why do they seem so uncomfortable? Why do they keep finding themselves alone together? Why does every interaction create more questions than answers? The deeper Maria looks, the more convinced she becomes. An affair. A betrayal. A devastating secret hidden in plain sight. And she's no longer willing to sit back and ignore it. In fact, she reaches a dangerous conclusion. He's going to prove it. No matter what. But that's where things become even more complicated. Because viewers know something Maria doesn't. There is definitely a secret. There is definitely something connecting Gary and Sarah. There is definitely a reason they're acting the way they are. But the real mystery is whether that secret is romantic at all. What if Maria is chasing the wrong explanation? What if she's focusing on betrayal while something much darker is unfolding? Because every road seems to lead back to Theo's murder. And that changes everything. Suddenly, those private conversations take on a different meaning. Those nervous glances feel different. Those secret meetings become far more sinister. What if Gary and Sarah aren't hiding an affair? What if they're hiding information? Information that could expose someone. Information that could destroy lives. Information connected to the biggest mystery currently hanging over Weatherfield. And if that's true, the consequences could be catastrophic. Because secrets linked to murder investigations rarely stay buried forever. Eventually somebody talks. Eventually somebody slips up. Eventually the truth finds a way out. The question is who will crack first? Gary, Sarah, or Maria herself? As her obsession with uncovering the truth grows stronger, she risks pushing everyone around her away. And sometimes the search for answers can be just as destructive as the answers themselves. Meanwhile, the pressure surrounding Gary continues to build. The suspicion. The whispers. The accusations. Every move he makes is being watched. Every decision is being questioned. And with police already interested in his connection to Theo, one wrong move could change everything. Yet despite the danger, he continues meeting Sarah. He continues having conversations nobody else is supposed to hear. And he continues giving Maria reasons to doubt him. Which brings us to the biggest question of all. Is Maria finally seeing the truth? Or is she walking directly into a trap created by assumptions and fear? Because sometimes the most obvious explanation is the wrong one. Sometimes an apparent affair is actually a cover for something much bigger. Something much darker. And as the mystery surrounding Theo's death continues to deepen, the possibility becomes increasingly difficult to ignore. Maybe Gary and Sarah aren't hiding love. Maybe they're hiding evidence. Maybe they're protecting someone. Maybe they're protecting themselves. Or maybe they're both carrying a secret so explosive that revealing it could send shockwaves through Weatherfield unlike anything we've seen before. For now, nobody knows the truth. Not Maria. Not the police. And certainly not the residents desperately trying to make sense of the chaos unfolding around them. But one thing is becoming painfully clear. The secret connecting Gary and Sarah is growing harder to hide. And sooner or later, someone is going to uncover what's really been happening behind closed doors. The only question is what they'll find when they do. Because if Maria is right, a heartbreaking betrayal could tear relationships apart. But if she's wrong, the truth may be even more devastating. And with Theo's killer still out there, suspicion spreading across Weatherfield, and Gary and Sarah guarding a mystery that refuses to stay buried, the next revelation could change everything. And when that secret finally comes to light, Weatherfield may never be the same again.